Hello students, welcome to the virtual learning class developed by Center for Education and Human Resource Development, the former NCD. Today we are going to deal with grammar one that is related to relative clause and writing one that is related to news story writing or news reporting. So if you are ready to go with me, please turn page number 98 of your textbook, grade 9 English, and let's go together. All right, so dear students, in order to know what is relative clause, let me show you some words. At first, what is clause? You must have known clauses is a group of words that has subject and predicate, or has subject and at least one verb, because one sentence is made up of clauses, then clauses are made up of phrases, phrases are made up of words. That's the structure. Let's go to the relative clause. Now let's see this one. All right, who. All right, then whom. Right, whose. Okay, which, that, what, where, how, why. So you must have known these words, okay? This is very familiar. These are the words used to make questions most often. But these are also used to make relative clause, okay? And these are the relative pronouns and they are used to make relative clause. Let's go ahead. All right, so let's observe the following sentences. Number one, a farmer is a person, a farmer grows crops. I like the pen is on the table. This is the place, Lord Buddha was born there. Now, the above sentences can be written as, we can write like this way, a farmer is a person who grows crops. Similarly, I like the pen which is on the table. Likewise, this is the place where Lord Buddha was born. So in this way, the sentences above has been connected with the help of the words who, which, or where. So in this way, these words are used to form the relative clause. Let's go ahead. So then what we can say is a farmer is a person who grows crops. So who grows crops is a relative clause. I like the pen which is on the table. So which is on the table is a clause, is a relative clause. Similarly, this is the place where Lord Buddha was born. So where Lord Buddha was born is the relative clause. Let's observe more examples. Manav works for the factory that produces sugar. Salma's father is a technician whose job is to design pipes. Mamta lives in Pokhara, where she is studying in Pokhara University. It was yesterday when Ramesh came to see me. This is the book which I bought yesterday. Now, when we see these sentences above, then we can see these sentences contain that and other words, whose and other words, and so on. So in this way, we can say the relative clauses use the pronouns. They are known as the relative pronouns. For example, so how they are used is very important to know. So for person, in order to indicate person, we use who or whose or whom. To indicate things, we use which, that, or what. To indicate place, we use where or in which, right? Similarly, to indicate time, we use when. And to indicate way, the way of doing, manner, we use how or why. Though we can use other words like whenever, whatever, however, but generally to talk about the person, place, thing, okay, time and way, we are using these relative pronouns. And when we are using these relative pronouns to connect the other words, then that forms the relative clauses. Let's go ahead. So in this way, Manav works for the factory that produces sugar. That produces sugar is a relative clause. Salma's father is a technician whose job is to design pipes. So this whose job is to design pipes is a relative clause. Then Mamta lives in Pokhara, where she is studying in Pokhara University. That is the where she is studying in Pokhara University is the relative clause. Similarly, the boy who lives next door wakes up very early. So who lives next door is a relative clause. Similarly, this is the book which I bought yesterday. Which I bought is the relative clause. In this way, what can we understand about what relative clause is? Okay, let's make a generalization about what is relative clause. So relative clause are, first thing is, okay, first we understood that relative clauses are formed with the pronouns. Okay, so pronouns are, we use that, whose, where, who is. These pronouns are used to form the relative clauses. For example, who, whose, whom, these are the relative pronouns that are used to form relative clause. Similarly, when, where, how, or why. So though this when, where, why are also adverbs, but they can use as the relative pronouns also. So in this way, these relative pronouns are used to form relative clause. Number 2, relative clause defines the antecedents. So antecedent means previous word. So we say simply purvapad in Nepali. Purvapad means the word that comes just before the relative pronouns. For example, factory comes before the that. So this purvapad लाई चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ परिभाषित गर्छ अथवा त्यसको बारेमा केही कुरा गर्छ. Right? So in this way, factory has been defined by that. Technician has been defined by whose. Pokhara is a place by where. The boy, a person by who. Book, the thing by which. Okay, in this way, relative clause always talks something about the previous word, antecedents. Similarly, relative clause gives extra information about a person, place, thing, or event. So in this way, we can also understand relative clause also gives the extra information about the person, place, thing, or event. Okay. For example, here is a person, the boy. So the boy who lives next door is the extra information about the boy, because we can complete the sentence by saying the boy wakes up very early. So about this boy, we have the extra information who lives next door. So this kind of clauses are also known as the non-defining relative clause. You will know more about the defining relative clause and non-defining clause in the further classes. Simply what we can understand here is relative clause also gives us extra information. So for example, when you talk about the book, this is the book which I bought yesterday. So the book, this is the book is itself a complete sentence, but I bought it yesterday. So which I bought it, this is the extra information about the book. In this way, relative clauses are used to give the extra informations. Alright, now please look at your book, page number 98. They are given a thank you letter, and here we'll work to find out the relative clause in this letter. So the letter is like this in your book. Alright, you can read it out. Okay, let me read it out. So Phongling Taplejung, 6 June 2021. So this also shows you how you can write a letter. This is the format of the letter writing. You have an address, you have a date, okay, then salutation, body part, and then subscription, all right, and name of the signature. So now let me read it out this. Dear Sujata, thank you very much for the wonderful birthday gifts. The vase you have gifted me is exactly what I wanted. It reminds me of the vase which my little sister broke last week. It has exactly the same patterns. In fact, it is the best china that I have ever seen. My mother, who loves flowers, arranged roses in the vase. Can you guess where I have kept it? Just outside my bedroom. Thank you once again for the lovely gift. So in this letter, can you identify where are the relative clauses? So obviously, it's easy to identify now because you have to read, you have to find out the relative pronouns. Okay, there. So when you look at the sentences, then you can see the relative pronoun what here. So what I wanted is the relative clause here. Okay, and what talks about this antecedent word exactly, and where exactly is talking about the vase. Okay, the vase is a thing, and therefore it is what. Similarly, it reminds me of the vase which my little sister broke last. Again, the vase, okay, which my little sister broke last week. This is another clause. Similarly, as you go on, you can see that, okay, the best china, that. So sometimes we can use which also, sometimes we can use that, okay. So that is the best china that I have ever seen is another relative clause here. Then my mother, who loves flowers, orange rose. So who loves flowers is another relative clause here. So who loves flowers gives the extra information about my mother. Similarly, you can say, can you guess where I have kept it? So where I have kept is another relative clause. Thank you. So, okay students, let's go to another exercise about completing the sentences with relative clauses. Now, the sentences have been given and you have to complete them with the help of relative clause. For example, the first one is, Manju works for a company. So, can you complete? Well, we can complete like this. Manju works for a company that sells vehicles. Okay. We can also say Manju works for a company which is the largest one in Nepal. Similarly, you can also say Manju works for a company which sells sports shoes. All right. And in this way, you can complete in your own way. This is just the sample answers for you. The story is about a girl who climbed Mount Everest. Or you can say, the story is about a girl whose parents were murdered, all right? And the story is about a girl who was really talented, all right? So this is how you can answer the questions with the help of relative clauses like as given with the help of that and other words connecting, and the who girl is who, or with the girl we can use whose on the basis of sentence structure. Similarly, you can say, what was the name of the dog which was killed yesterday? All right. So, what was the name of the dog which is the pet of Ram Bahadur? All right. So on. Similarly, when you talk about the policemen have caught the criminals, then what? So, criminals are the people. Therefore, you might be using who, whose, whom. All right. So, therefore, let's say the police have caught the criminals whose record was in the most wanted list. Okay, the police have caught the criminals who were accused of stealing gold cup from the temple. You can say like this. Interesting sentences you can make. Similarly, Graham Bell was the man. So, man means you are using who. Graham Bell was the man who invented telephone. All right. So, similarly, what happened to the painting which was kept in the museum? What happened to the painting that was painted by Ram Thapa? All right. So, you can use your own kind of relative clauses to complete the sentences. An encyclopedia as a book that gives information about everything. I had people who always backbite others. Okay. The earth seems to All right, now the Earth seems to be the only planet that, what can you say? Can you try? Good. So the Earth seems to be the only planet that moves around the Earth, moves around the Sun. All right, like that. A detective is a person, then can you say? Person is who? So a detective is a person who tries to find out the mysterious problems. Similarly, Can you tell me the name of the book which is written by Samir Pandey or something like that? So in this way, complete your sentences. All right. Now similarly, write about your school using relative clause. Okay. So when you are talking about school, or when you are talking about your family, or when you're talking about anything else, you can use the relative clause. For example, so you can say, when you talk about school, you can say, my school is beautiful, which is located near the beautiful river. Okay, or my school is beautiful, which has 5 buildings, and so on. Similarly, when you're talking about this school, there are teachers. So my teachers are lovely, who teach us very nicely. My teachers are lovely, who are very kind. Okay, my teachers are lovely, who guide us nicely, and so on. Similarly, we have a break time when? So time is when. All right. So we have break time when we play football, when we take our tiffin, when we take our snacks, all right, and so on. So in this way, you can create a lot of sentences about the school and do your job. All right. Good. Now let's go to another part, writing one. Let's go to writing one. So before we go to writing one, that talks about newspaper, that talks about news story writing, or it is also called reporting. So take care, students. News article is different thing, whereas news story is different thing. So news stories are often news reporting. Okay, let's go ahead. So before we learn that, I have shown you the pictures of newspapers. You can see. So this is the newspaper of Times of India, and a lot of news stories have been written here. And when you talk about this newspaper, some of the famous newspapers are here. International newspaper in English, The Guardian. Okay. Similarly, The Times, Daily Mirror. Okay, etc. So now, when you go to national newspapers, some of the good newspapers are the Kathmandu Post. Okay, Kathmandu Post is the English version of Kantipur. Similarly, the Himalayan we have Rising Nepal also. So we have different kinds of newspapers. All right. So now look at the following news story. Okay, so one sample of news story, news report is here, given here. So this is already the name of the newspaper. Now this one, the first one, a 16-year-old girl saves a lady. Okay, by Maria Gomez Sidoncha. So when you look at this newspaper, we have to learn two things. One is structure, another is language used, okay, in the news story. So when you look at this structure, it is the headline. This is the headline title. It is in the present tense, mostly often written in present tense with the bold, okay, line. Then this is by name, is the reporter often, and these are known as the byline. Then after that, here is date and place is not written. Most of the news stories have the date and place also. And this is the headline. This is the main summary. Okay, most of the newspaper give the important summary at the beginning. Then they go to the details. Okay, all right. This is the structure. When you read the newspaper, for example, look at the sentences like, when a boy attacked her, past tense, he hit her, past tense, hit, all right. Laura was passing by, was past tense, okay. So when we often report the news, okay, which happened earlier, therefore mostly it is in the past tense, all right. So you can go through the other languages. Now let me take you to another part. All right, so let me take you to another part with which you are familiar, okay, because we learned Unit 8 entitled Science and Technology. In the Science and Technology, in the reading one, there is one news story. That is, the title of the news story is Humanoid Robot Sophia. So when you look into your book in this particular topic, then you can see the structure. The Humanoid Robot Sophia, this is the title, and then this is the reporter by Srishti Kafle, then is the place, and this is the time, and sometimes news agency, okay, is also written. And again, this captures the main idea of the text, okay. Then after this, there are a lot of descriptions we have learned it, okay. We learned it in our previous class. So, what is most important part from your side is a news story or report contains the following parts, okay. So, the first is the headline. It contains headline. So, headline is normally in present, simple present tense, and it is in the bold letter. Next is byline. So, byline is often a name of the news reporter. Then next part is you can see place and date and sometimes news agency. So, from where they have reported and when it is reported, okay. Then you can see the important information, okay. Sometimes you can use the important information in the beginning of the news story. So, this important information is generally a summary of the news, okay. Then after that you can find the detailed information in the news story. So, while you are writing a news report, news story, take care of the following things also. So, a news story, or when you talk about the detailed writing, it often answers what happened or what has happened, okay. Where, when, and how did it happen, okay. So, where did it took place, where did it take place, okay, when did it take place, okay, how did it happen, all right. What has been happening since that, okay, since then. So, these are the some of the important parts of the news detail while you are writing a news story. Similarly, we learned from the previous, okay, sample news story that the tense, that the sentence, that the language they use the language they used is past tense basically. Then also they use passive forms and they use indirect speech, okay. So, this is the most important part of language, most important part in the news story, okay. All right, let's develop the news story using the given clues. So, this is in your book, page number 99, okay. So, they have given you the clues of our news story. So, the headline is Nepal's Yantrika in online robot display. So, this is what they have said. Yantrika, the human-shaped and advanced robot, has been put on the International Online Robot Exhibition from Nepal. So, this is another all right clue. This is another clue. This is another clue. You can also observe your book, all right. This is next clue. This is next clue, and this and this. So, this is the clue given in your book. Now, you have to develop it into news story, okay. Almost important informations, almost many informations have been given here, okay. But what is your duty is to just change it into format, okay, and you can add some sentences to make it a news story. Now, look at this one. All right. So, these are the all right clues given in the book actually, all right. So, now I have added some sentences, phrases, okay, clauses, okay, to make a complete story. So, this story is talking about the present action, and therefore it uses mostly the present simple present tense, and it is mostly in the passive voice has been put, right. So, when you talk about Nepal's Yantrika in online robot display, this is the heading, all right, good. Then by Rashtrika Ghale is the byline. Then Pokhara 29 number 23 for the Kamani Post is the place and date. So, in this way you can create these things which was not written there in the clue. Okay. Now yantrika, what you can say is yantrika, human. So yantrika, the first human-shaped and advanced robot. I just use the word first. Here you can also use relative clause. Yantrika, which is the first human-shaped and advanced robot, has been put on the International Online Robot Exhibition from Nepal. All right, that's what. Then next is developed by a team of engineer Roshan Pandey. It is there. Okay, now you can say some interesting things like this amazing robot, this interesting robot has been developed by team of enthusiasts, okay, or team of scientists, okay, which was, we can use the relative clauses also, led by engineer Roshan Pandey. All right, Roshan Pandey. Then Roshan Pandey, I have used here relative clause, who are working in Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, NAST. Okay. So then exhibition organized by, given there in a book. Now what you can add is this online robot exhibition, all right, was, it is going on, therefore is. Okay. This online robot exhibition is organized by Smart Society of Canada, Business Side USA, IEM, American Corporation. Similarly, the exhibition, okay, the exhibition presents the best innovative technologies from, okay, the best innovative technology. This was given there. Okay, now what you can add is just the exhibition displays. Okay, the exhibition shows, okay, the best innovative technology from America, Canada, and so on. All right. Then the robot, okay, yantrika from Nepal can identify. There is written can identify. Okay. So what you can say, the robot can identify, the robot which is developed in Nepal, okay, can identify the people wearing a mask from the ones who aren't wearing one. Okay. Then you can also say, so it gives masks and sanitizers to those who don't wear masks. Okay. Another interesting thing about the yantrika can do is it can measure body temperature. So in this way I have added the informations. All right, and finally you can say it was there the main objective of the technology. Now you can say the main objective of designing this robot is to disseminate. Disseminate means give, provide, okay, publicize information regarding wearing a mask and using sanitizer to the general public. So in this way, practice yourself about this news. Finally, let's go to practice this news story. Let's develop the news story using the following hints. Okay. So how we can develop this story? Let me show you through the board writing. Okay. So what is the news? As we learned, well, the given clue, okay, is there. Then let's develop the story. All right. Let's go ahead. So what is the headline? The headline is given there already. So five killed in a bus accident. This is our headline. So after headline, we understand it should have the byline. Let's say this story is reported by Preeti Shah. All right, and she reported this story from, let's say, a place name. You can say the name of Pokhara, Kathmandu, different places. So let's say she reported this story from Bharatpur, and she reported this in let's say 3rd December 2022. All right. So she reported for RSS, Rashtriya Samachar Samvaddaata. We use like this also. All right. So all right, now we have completed the headline, byline, and the place and date. Okay. Now we'll start our news story. Okay. So first is what happened. All right. So it also gives the main message also. So how we can start is a bus numbered ba a ja 1123, okay, which was going to Bhutan, okay. We can also use the word heading, which was heading towards, okay, which was heading towards Butwal, okay. What happened? Fell down into Trishul River, which was heading towards Butwal, fell down into Trishuli River, okay. This is what happened. So now we have other details of the story, okay. So when we talk about the details, then you can add extra informations, okay. But let's go to the main line, okay. Sometimes in the news story you have to use the other words like according to the local people, okay, as according to the witness, or it is reported that, like that. Now let's say, okay, according to the, I use the word according to the, all right, according to the police, okay, according to the police who went there for the rescue, okay, 5 passengers died on spot, okay, all right, 5. Many of them have been seriously injured. Okay, not have been. Let's change it into had been, right? Because we are talking about the past event. So many of them had been seriously injured, okay. So when you look at the, okay, so then what it says, taken to hospital, okay. They have been taken to, so we can name the nearby hospital, okay. So adding extra information is always good to form the news. So they have been taken to Bharatpur hospital, let's say Bharatpur hospital, all right. Then our investigation going on means now you have to think about why it fell down into Trishul River, okay, the causes, okay, consequences, circumstances of the accident we can talk about, okay. According to the witness, okay, according to witness, okay, those people we saw, okay, the bus was running in a high speed, okay, in a high speed, and it lost its control in a bend and fell down into Trishuli River, okay. but the real cause is not known yet. Not known yet. So you can say, so we can continue. So the investigation is going on. So this, in this way you can just complete the story, because we talked about what happened, okay, and where did it happen. You can add where did it happen and when did it happen. For example, here you can again you can add it happened yesterday evening near Mugling, or it happened yesterday evening near Bhaktapur. Okay, so you can add this information as far as possible, and you can add other extra information to form a story. So I hope in this way you will try to develop better story, like this. All right, so finally here is one assignment for you. Okay, please try this assignment again. So develop the story using the clause. Talent is to awarded. So the top 3 from C batch 2017 were awarded during the school anniversary, and then go on writing. All right, so in this way, the students will learn about relative clause, and we learned about writing news story. So you practice yourself at home. That's all for today. Thank you. Good day.